Where's the videos? They were telling us that videos are going to come out, incredibly high-profile people doing horrendous things, evil things. People are going to go to jail. People are going to be shocked.
Yeah.
Where?
Right.
Nothing.
About the Diddy thing with Epstein than anybody. Are you kidding me? He's partying with him here. Like, of course he's compromised.
They all hung out with him even after he got arrested. This is what's crazy.
That is crazy.
A lot of Bill Gates meetings with him were after he was prosecuted.
Remember all the talk about Diddy tapes and the Epstein list? People said these were supposed to expose politicians, celebrities, and billionaires. We were told videos would leak and names would drop, blowing the lid off elite corruption. But now, it's like they vanished into thin air. You're not crazy for thinking this. It keeps happening. We get hyped up about these huge files and promises of justice, and then nothing. It happened with Epstein, and now it's happening with Diddy. Different cases, but the same outcome. Everyone waits, the media teases us, people speak out, and just when it seems like something big is about to drop, everyone goes silent. And people are definitely noticing. Even folks like Joe Rogan are saying the system is protecting the real culprits.
You gotta think, man, if a guy like that is running these kind of parties with all these rich and powerful people, how many different worldwide decisions can be manipulated because of these people and the compromises you have on them?
So Joe Rogan isn't holding back anymore. On his July 15th episode of The Joe Rogan Experience, he revealed you could literally hear the frustration building. This wasn't just your regular guest interview or some chill conversation about science and comedy. This was different. Rogan sounded angry, confused, and betrayed. Now here's what triggered it all. Just weeks before, he had FBI Director Kash Patel on the podcast. And during that sit-down, Patel looked Rogan in the eye and told him, "There is no Epstein list."
And is there video from the island?
Not of what you want. The people out there have filled the void with can't wait to see X, Y, or Z.
Right, speculation.
And I'm like, here's the other thing I've been asking for, right? Openly. If you have information on this, call us. Tell us. The best resource we have is the American people in the world.
Right.
Get me the tail numbers. Get me the flight, get me new information, and I will run that down.
So this narrative might not be accurate.
According to Patel, it's all a myth that got twisted on the internet. Rogan didn't argue much at the moment, but you could tell it didn't sit right with him. Fast forward to July 15th, and Rogan brings it up again this time with fellow podcaster Danny Jones. And now he's got new info. He read quotes from Attorney General Pam Bondi, who said earlier this year that the DOJ was reviewing tens of thousands of videos. Her exact words were about footage of Epstein with kids and possible child
The tens of thousands of video, they turned out to be child downloaded by that disgusting Jeffrey Epstein.
Mystery surrounds the Jeffrey Epstein files after Bondi claims tens of thousands of videos. Tens of thousands. Jesus Christ.
I'll tell you what.
Chill. Oh my God. Was reviewing tens of thousands of videos, the wealthy financier with children or child.
So now you've got two top-level people, one saying no footage exists, and the other saying thousands of hours are under review. Rogan called it what it was, a straight-up contradiction. And he didn't hold back. He said, "They can get away with anything, man." And let's be real, that line hits hard when it's coming from someone like Rogan, who used to openly support Trump and even defended his promises about cleaning up the system. This isn't just political frustration, it's personal. Rogan admitted he believed them. He trusted the idea that powerful people were finally going to face consequences, that Epstein's tapes would bring down elite names. Now he feels like he got betrayed, and he's not alone. Millions of people watched that episode and thought the same thing. Where are the files we were told existed? And this is what really pushes people over the edge. When the narrative keeps changing. When one official says it's all fake, and another says there's a mountain of video evidence, how is anyone supposed to believe these folks? Rogan is showing us how easy it is to be manipulated, even when you're on the inside.
Why did they tell us that there was all these videos of all these high-profile people and then silence, and then it never comes up once during the trial? There's none of that stuff in the trial.
Let's go back a little, because the hype around these tapes didn't start with some random rumor. It started during the Trump campaign. Over and over again, the public was told that Epstein's files would be exposed, that big names would be revealed, that the so-called Epstein list had all the proof needed to finally bring down the powerful. We're talking about politicians, business giants, celebrities, and the works. It wasn't just hinted at. It was promised. Trump supporters were told the deep state would be held accountable. And the tapes? They were the key to everything. Even Rogan reminded his audience about this. On the podcast, he said Trump's people were telling everyone, the video is going to come out. Incredibly high-profile people doing horrible things, evil things. That wasn't a vague political spin. That was very specific. And yet, here we are, still waiting. And now, instead of arrests or transparency, we're getting deflections. Convenient distractions. Even Rogan joked that the government can just bomb Iran and everybody forgets.
Just bomb Iran and everybody forgets
Just
about
bomb Iran, yeah.
it. Everybody forgets about it.
That might sound extreme, but the point he's making is clear. Whenever the pressure builds up, something happens to shift the focus. And the real issues? They get swept away. It's the same story again and again. Build the hype, promise justice, then pretend like none of it ever existed. And that's the part that's messing with people the most. It's not just that there were no tapes released, it's that they were hyped up so much, only to vanish completely.
There's a bunch of high-profile people that are connected to this.
Yeah.
They're covering it all up. If he goes down, they go down. So he's not going to go down.
Right.
So that's the thing. Like, if he really did have like really wealthy, high-profile people at his parties, which we know he did.
Now here's where it gets really hard to ignore. Epstein's New York mansion wasn't some regular rich guy's house. It was a full-blown surveillance trap. This isn't internet speculation. This is based on direct testimony from Maria Farmer, one of Epstein's victims who actually stayed there. She said the entire house was under surveillance. Cameras were hidden in walls. Every room was being watched. There were monitors in the basement where Epstein and his people could literally watch what was going on live. That's not normal. That's set up for blackmail level stuff. Now, if the FBI raided that house, like they said they did, then what happened to all that footage? Because you'd think, at the very least, some of those tapes would be logged as evidence, right? But to date, no clip has been shown publicly, not even a still image. And this was a guy who recorded everything. The house has been sold now. Cameras removed, surveillance wiped, no leaks, no files dumped anonymously, no court evidence was released, just silence. And that's the part that doesn't sit right with people.
If you were Jeffrey Epstein, I think it's super plausible to assume that he would try to trick them with like a girl who looks old, right? Who is possibly like on the borderline of being 18. And you say, oh yeah, this girl, she's 18, 19, 20, whatever. Meanwhile, she's like 17 and they had no idea and they have video footage. And in like a court of law, if I'm the judge, I'm gonna let them, like, of course, they fucking lied to him. And this is not like some young girl, obviously. But they lied.
Yeah.
But like in like the court of public opinion, you're never going to win in that case, right? Like if that comes out.
I mean, you're f***ed if you just go into the island to bang hookers. Like, it's like they're of age. It's still like whatever he was doing, you preyed on people's desire for experiences and vice.
Yes.
And all these powerful people who, again, they can't just go call a hooker and the hooker goes, oh my God, I just blew Bill Gates. This is nuts. You know what I mean? Like, you can't trust them. So you have to trust someone who really has a lockdown organization. And they felt like he did.
It's not just about what Epstein did. It's about the way it was all cleaned up afterward. And here's what makes people really stop and think. If there were tapes of regular people involved in that kind of stuff, you better believe they'd be all over the news. But with Epstein and Diddy, the footage just disappears. So when Joe Rogan says, there's gotta be a hard drive, he's not just guessing. He's reacting to a pattern where every time someone powerful is about to be exposed, the evidence magically vanishes.
My thing about the Diddy thing is like, I don't really give a f***. These people are they're of age. They're like 18 years old. And is it shitty what he's doing, trying to like use people and leverage them into do these weird sexual things and like sick shit, just the most sick shit you could possibly think of.
So if you've been following Diddy's case and it's giving you serious Epstein deja vu, you're not alone. Dateline NBC recently aired a bombshell interview that really peeled back the curtain on what insiders say was going down behind closed doors. One of the most talked about voices was Capricorn Clark, Diddy's former assistant. And listen, she wasn't holding back. She described the energy around Diddy as toxic. According to her, there were multiple times when she saw him snap, but one incident stood out. She recalled Diddy allegedly attacking Cassie right after they got home from an event. She didn't say it casually. This was shared as part of a larger conversation about how Diddy treated women in his circle. She said it was shocking, she said it was scary, and most importantly, she said it happened. Now, she's not the only one stepping up. Cherie Hayes, an exotic dancer who was allegedly hired for one of Diddy's parties, gave another disturbing account. He said he was told to act like Diddy wasn't even there while performing, but in reality, he was watching everything. He said he was in the room, giving instructions, managing the energy like a director on a movie set. But this wasn't a movie, it was real life. He described the whole thing as off, uncomfortable, and creepy. That same kind of controlling, voyeuristic behavior was at the core of Epstein's operation. A powerful man, a highly controlled environment, people paid to perform, and layers of secrecy. With both Epstein and Diddy, people kept quiet for years. And this isn't just a rumor. These are real interviews, real witnesses, and in some cases, real court testimony. These aren't just whispers anymore. People are putting names to stories. That's why this matters. It's no longer about speculation. It's about accountability. And just when you thought it couldn't get more messy, comedian Kurt Metzger made an extremely accurate prediction about Diddy.
Kurt Metzger called this from the beginning, and especially when he found out that Comey's daughter was going to be the judge. Wasn't she the same judge on the Ghislaine Maxwell case?
Kurt didn't just say, Diddy's rich, he'll get off. He said, point blank, nothing big is going to happen to Diddy, because he looked at the names involved in the case. He pointed out that one of the judges connected to the proceedings is none other than James Comey's daughter. Yes, the same Comey who was head of the FBI during some of the most controversial investigations of the past decade. And let's not forget, his name was also floating around during the Epstein fallout. So when you put that into perspective, Kurt was basically saying, we've seen this movie before, we know how it ends. Whether you think it's coincidence or something deeper, the pattern's hard to ignore. High-profile men with serious allegations somehow, the charges either vanish or get watered down until they're barely recognizable. And in Diddy's case, the most serious stuff didn't even stick. Now let's talk about what Diddy's doing behind bars. And no, he is not just sitting around. He's playing the game smartly. He's currently enrolled in multiple self-improvement programs, one for domestic, another for substance. He's attending therapy sessions. And before anyone gets too impressed, let's be honest. This is textbook strategy. When a high-profile person is facing sentencing, their lawyers will almost always recommend rehabilitation programs because it shows the court they're making an effort. It paints a picture of someone who's taking responsibility. It's not about actual change, it's about optics. And here's where it gets messy. Diddy's sentencing date is set for October 3rd. Prosecutors originally wanted him jailed for 4 years. But the discussion is that he could serve a lot less. With time already served, plus good behavior credits and those court-approved therapy sessions, there's real talk he might be out by Thanksgiving. Here's the kicker, though. He wasn't convicted on the worst charges. Not the substance use, not the charge that stuck was a Mann Act violation. Basically, it means he was found guilty of taking someone across state lines for sex work. A serious federal offense, but compared to what he was originally facing, that's the lightest possible hit he could have taken.
Diddy is behind bars, but he is enrolled in 2 classes in jail. A class for drug abuse and one for domestic violence.
These are programs that are offered by the federal government in the prison system for inmates, and he is enrolled in both of these programs. He's also, we're told, in therapy separate from those 2 programs. And all of these things that he's doing, typically for one reason, to look good for the judge.
So now you've got Diddy in a prison jumpsuit, checking off boxes like it's a to-do list. Therapy, check. Classes, check. Media silence, check. And it's all leading toward a reduced sentence, maybe even an early release. Sounds familiar? It should. Because just like Epstein, there's a real concern that we're watching history repeat itself, just with a different celebrity, different charges, and the same old system quietly helping it all fade away. But now this is where the rabbit hole really opens up. Let's shift gears a little, because what we're dealing with here might not just be about wild parties, celebrity drama, or court cases. This part is where things start sounding less like a scandal and more like a playbook. You see, many people believe that what Epstein did was not just illegal or immoral, it was an intelligence operation. Sounds wild, right? But when you break it down, the theory actually makes a scary amount of sense. Basically, Epstein's real game might have been blackmail. According to people who've studied his case deeply, he would allegedly bring in young girls, often underage but made to look older, and get them around powerful men. Politicians, bankers, CEOs, and everything would be recorded. Cameras were hidden in walls, whole rooms wired. And once those tapes existed, Epstein had a serious advantage. It wasn't about money, it was about control. That footage became currency, used to pressure people, or make sure certain things happened or didn't happen. Now here's where Diddy's situation starts to feel a little too familiar. Think about the rumors surrounding him. People say there were cameras all over his house. Former staffers have mentioned being told to ignore what was happening or act like nothing was out of the ordinary. And remember, Cherie Hayes, the exotic dancer, said he was told to not even look at Diddy during these parties, even though he was standing right there, giving orders.
There was no doubt in your mind that this was a situation, the scenes controlled by Diddy.
Yeah, I was explaining coming in that this was a sexy scene created for the husband. So the energy of the situation, although not aggressive or assertive, but there was clearly an understanding that our actions, the lighting, everything was centered around his preference.
That kind of setup, it's not just about having fun or power tripping. And now, there's all this talk of tapes going missing. You've got people saying footage from inside Diddy's homes existed. But now, it's vanished. Either the feds can't find it, or someone made sure it disappeared. So let's ask the uncomfortable question. Was Diddy just throwing parties for fun, or was there another reason those cameras were rolling? Now, we don't know if he was using that footage for blackmail the way Epstein allegedly did, but even if he wasn't, the fact that those tapes are suddenly hard to find, that should raise everyone's eyebrows. Because someone, somewhere, either doesn't want us to see what was on those tapes, or plans to use it when the timing is right. And that's the scary part. Because once you start seeing how many powerful names are floating around these circles, Diddy, Epstein, Harvey Weinstein, it's hard not to wonder if there's a bigger pattern. Like maybe we're only seeing the surface of something much deeper.
When you get rich, powerful people. So here's the thing that happens with rich, powerful people. They can't go anywhere, right? If you're like, say, a Jeff Bezos type or someone who's like an Elon Musk type. And I'm not accusing them of anything. I'm just saying at that caliber of celebrity and that caliber of prominence, you can't go anywhere. If you're Bill Clinton back in the 80s or the 90s, whatever it was, you can't go party, you know?
Right.
Everybody knows who you are. You got to be protected, right? But you want these experiences. And so you have these guys like a Jeffrey Epstein type guy who works with the elite of the elite clientele. It's all movie stars, big time politicians, world leaders, scientists, Nobel Prize winners, and they all meet together and have fascinating conversations and cocktails, and there's beautiful girls everywhere. Of course. What a great idea.
Now let's be real for a second. The worst part of all this isn't just the crimes, it's how the system responds, or doesn't respond. These stories keep coming out, and every time we hear the same thing. This time, we'll get justice. This time, the truth will come out. And every time, it turns into political theater. One side uses it to bash the other. Hashtags trend. Cable news runs segments. But then the cycle moves on, and the survivors, the real people who went through this, are left hanging. It's like this smoke and mirrors game. And the longer it goes on, the clearer it becomes. These scandals aren't just shocking headlines. They're tools for distractions. Something to keep the public arguing while the real work happens behind closed doors. And here's the thing that really matters. Some of these people risked everything to speak. Capricorn Clark came forward and spoke about the toxicity she witnessed. She didn't have to say anything, but she did. Others, like Cassie, filed lawsuits, publicly, in their own name, knowing how ugly things could get. And still, even with court documents, even with recorded interviews, even with all these names being dropped, there's always some excuse, some loophole, or some delay. Now, I know a lot of people are feeling tired. Tired of hoping something will change. Tired of the media hype, only to see nothing happen. And honestly, I don't blame you. But here's the thing. They're counting on that silence. People in power want us to get bored. They want us to look away. Because when the spotlight moves, so does the pressure. So yeah, maybe you're over it. But if we stop paying attention, stop calling it out, stop sharing the real stories, they win. Let's not give them that win. If you've made it this far, I want to know what you think. Do you believe the evidence was really destroyed? Or do you think someone's sitting on it, waiting for the right moment to use it? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Let's talk about it. And if you're as tired as I am of being lied to, hit that like button. Let's make sure this story doesn't just disappear like everyone else. See y'all in the next video.